You're listening to The Gary Harris Show on Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa.
U.S. Senator Doug Jones, a Confederate Democrat. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news. It's free all throughout the day. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
The Gary Harris Show. UCM host Tider Insider TV. Crimson Tide Kickoff. Play-by-play for Alabama sports and sports director for WVUA 23. It's time for the Gary Harris Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
And good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Gary Harris Show. It's a brand new week. Monday, August 19, 2024. I'm your host, Gary Harris, coming to you again this morning from Orange Beach, Alabama. My final little respite before football season, and I'll be headed back to Tuscaloosa after my show today, in fact. But spent all day, spent Friday, Saturday, and Sunday here at the beach, and coming back today. But I've had a fun time. We came to you live on Friday from Orange Beach and coming to you live again this morning from Orange Beach. But back to Tuscaloosa later today and, of course, back in the studio tomorrow morning as it is football time in Alabama. High school football begins on Thursday night. Week 0, full slate of games on Friday. And then, of course, the countdown to Alabama football is now down to 12 days. 12 days away from Alabama and Western Kentucky. So we're going to have that covered for you. As I said, I'm on the road here in beautiful Orange Beach, Alabama. But Chase Bumfeld is right there at our Tide 100.9 FM studios in the control room, and he is doing all the heavy lifting this morning, taking your phone calls on the Pinnacle Park at North River Hotline at 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904. We'd love to hear from you, Corey. We're going to get to you here in just a moment. Corey is going to lead us off. He's already on hold, but before we get into the show, I need to let you know that this hour is being brought to you, as always, by Alabama Credit Union. Member-owned and not-for-profit. It really is just a better way of banking. I encourage you to find out for yourself all the advantages of Alabama Credit Union the way that I have. Become a member. Get all the info you need at alabamacu.com. That's alabamacu.com. Or get by and see them at one of their many locations around the state of Alabama. Alabama Credit Union. Loans for your life. Some rules and restrictions do apply. See if you're eligible for membership. Enjoy today and feel good about your money. And put extra change in your pocket. All right, let me bring Chase in since I can't. Usually when I'm in the studio, I can look right across the glass and see him. He's in the control room, but I can't see him this morning, obviously. But how was your weekend, Chase?
It was good. School is back for sure. Everybody is back in T-Town. Traffic is insane, but I got used to that. But it was good. How was your weekend?
Oh, it was great, man. It was great. And I ran into so many people. I've got some more photos I'm going to put up on my personal Facebook page. I ran into so many people down here that, was familiar with me because of my work on TV and radio and wanted to talk Alabama football. And it really was a fun trip. But I continued to monitor everything. I monitored the scrimmage on Saturday, and I kept an eye on sports and did catch the end of the golf tournament with Nick Dunlap yesterday up in Memphis at the FedEx St. Jude Championship, and he finished 5th, which was good enough to move him into the top 50, so he gets to play again next week. What a remarkable year it's been. Still just 20 years old. Won't turn 21 until December. And in the last 12 months, he's won the U.S. Amateur. He led Alabama to a great fall season, was getting ready for a great spring season, got a sponsor's exemption into the FedEx tournament out in Palm Springs, California, won that as an amateur, turned pro, and won again at the Barracuda. And even though he did not get the 500 FedEx points for winning that tournament because he was an amateur, he still qualified for the first round of the playoffs. And then by having a top 5 finish, he qualifies for next week. And by finishing in the top 50, he gets to be in all the elevated events next year. It's been a remarkable year. Obviously, he's going to be the rookie of the year on the PGA Tour, and just an incredible story. And yesterday, he was in the final group with Hideki Matsuyama, had a chance to win that tournament. And, Hideki had lost the lead, and Hideki then birdied 17 and 18 to win. But Nick secured, had an unfortunate bogey on 17, and needed a par on 18 to finish in the top 50, and he got it. Hit a beautiful drive. Hit his second behind the hole, I don't know, maybe 25, 30 feet, and then lagged his putt down to really just tap in to because had he made bogey there, he would have finished 51st, and that would have been painful to be one outside the top 50. But he doesn't have to worry about that now. He is on to next week. So NFL exhibition football has cranked up, and we're going to have it all, ready to go this morning to talk about. All right, I do need to let you know that our guest lineup, our Monday lineup, is always pretty consistent with Rodney Orr from TiderInsider.com, Tider Insider TV at 9:30, and then Casey Smith on golf, much more on Nick Dunlap. And Justin Thomas, of course, advancing to next week, although he finished, I think he finished -5. It was, not a great tournament, but not a bad tournament. So he moves on as well. He's in the top 50, and so we'll talk with Casey Smith on golf about that. As I said, your phone calls are welcome on the Pinnacle Park and North River hotline, 205-342-9904. And we're also going to have the Kalen DeBoer press conference from Saturday following the scrimmage. The scrimmage was closed to the media, but he talked for about 10 minutes. We're going to have that for you. We're just going to run it in its entirety. Chase has got it clipped up for me, but since I'm not in the studio, it'll be easier just to run it in its entirety. We'll get to that at some point this morning. But right now, let's go ahead and jump out on the Pinnacle Park and North River hotline, and that's where Corey is ready to go this morning over in Trussville. Good morning, Corey.
Good morning, Gary. How you doing this morning?
Doing well, buddy. Thank you.
Well, I'm actually in Orange Beach, too. I'm on vacation and this week, so I'm actually down here in Orange Beach as well.
How about that? We're both in Orange Beach, but we're talking on the radio, and well, we go everywhere, but we're on a radio show. My radio show in Tuscaloosa. We're both in Orange Beach. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, this is my last vacation for, like I said, football and really the year. So I'm just taking it while I can.
Yeah, same here, my friend. Same here. So what's going on?
I'm just ready for football, man. High school football, college, NFL, you name it. One of the things I got out of the scrimmage was Alabama. I pretty much did what they wanted. Pretty much got what they wanted out of it. I mean, defense bounced back, special teams played well, offense had a good scrimmage, and most importantly, they came out healthy. I mean, I know the thing with Gene Roberts, but DeBoer said he'll play week 1, so there's no missing time. So we got out of the scrimmage healthy. Alabama's pretty much healthy, and that's all I needed to hear.
Yeah, I agree with you. The bottom line is, staying healthy. And I obviously I wasn't there, but did get a little bit of information on it. I've been told that it was a very physical scrimmage, which is a good thing. That they got after it. It was a very intense, and that's what you're looking for. I do understand that Coach DeBoer's post-game comments were pretty vanilla, but that's okay. It's they're getting down to business. They're getting down to the nitty-gritty here now, and it's going to be time to play here in 12 days. So, but I'm with you. I think the bottom line is, for the most part, it appears they get out of the scrimmage healthy. Now, Jade Roberts, we know, is going to have a little procedure with his hand, the starting offensive right guard, but everything seems to indicate that he'll be ready to go for that season opener. So you're right, Corey, to be as physical as they have been in this fall camp and get after it the way that they have, to be in good shape injury-wise makes you feel pretty confident, and I feel good about this team. I think you're going to have a really good team.
Do you sense a quiet confidence about this team, because nobody's picking them to really do, a whole lot? I mean, I know, finish terribly, but, under their normal circumstances.
Yeah, they're not picked to be where we're used to seeing Alabama picked. So I think that that will play to their advantage. And I do think this team is confident and has as you said, kind of a quiet confidence. They're not out beating their chest or anything like that. Last year, going into the season, I think that they were pretty loud and outspoken about, wanting to prove people wrong. And of course, let all the naysayers know came, and they did ultimately. It didn't look good early, after that, loss to Texas and that disaster, even though they won the game at South Florida. Nobody at that point, most people didn't think that they were going to finish 11-1 and go to Atlanta and then beat Georgia in the SEC championship game and make it the college football playoff. But they did. And, but that team had a little bit of bravado about it, a little bit of this team, you're right, seems to be just a little more about taking care of business and, letting them do all their talking on the field. So, yeah, I think this team is very confident. I agree with you.
Speaking of South Florida, can you imagine when they named Saban Field that day, all the alumni and all the former Alabama players coming to that game that day?
Oh, I think there'll be a lot of people come back. Yeah, I think there'll be as many former players as as can get back. I think it's going to be festive. I think it's going to be quite a ceremony. I think it's going to be special, and I think that it's going to mean a lot to the Sabans. I really do.
The only thing is, for the players, can you keep your emotions in check and play the game? Because there's a lot of former players on that team that played for Coach Saban, and the game is still the game, and you have to keep your emotions.
Yeah, but it won't be an issue. I don't think that'll be an issue. I think that they'll, the current players, their routine will be the same. The former players now, I'm sure they'll be on the field with Coach, but the current players will be going through their normal warm-up routine. They won't deviate from that. If it works out that they're on the field when they do something, that's fine. But the focus of the team will be to play the game. They respect their former coach, but their number one responsibility is to their current team and doing what they need to do there. So I don't see this ceremony as having any negative impact at all on the current team.
Georgia Tech and Florida State play Saturday. Do you think Florida State could be on the upset alert in any way?
Yeah, I think they're on upset alert. I think that, it's a first game. You're playing a league opponent and playing a good team. So I think you're on upset alert from the standpoint that you got to be ready to go. Now, I think Florida State will win the game, but I do think that that's a tough opener. And you got a lot of, pop and circumstance going on with that game too. So, yeah, I think that they, I would say, yeah, they better be ready, because if they don't play well, Georgia Tech could pull the upset there. Sure.
Since this is probably the last week before Alabama kicks off, I wanted to get your official predictions for Alabama. First of all, what do you think Alabama's official outcome of the season will be like?
Well, I haven't done it yet because, I'm going to go through it game by game, and I have not done that yet. So I haven't picked the record, because what I will do, as I do every year, is I'll go at some point before the season starts, I'll go game by game. All right, this is how I think the Western Kentucky game will play out. This is how I think the South Florida game plays out. This is how I think the Wisconsin game plays out. This is how I think the Georgia game by game, and make my predictions. So I'll go through every game, picking a win or a loss, and then after 12, it'll be whatever it is. I pick them to, win all 12 games, my prediction will be 12-0. If I pick them to win 11, it'll be 11-1. So, but I'll go through them game by game rather than just call out, random. I think they'll go 10-2. I think, already I will say this. I think Alabama's going to make the college football playoff, but as far as picking it game by game, I haven't done that yet. And, but I will. And I think they're going to be really good. I just like 2 years ago, I think that those trips to Baton Rouge and to Knoxville are scary for Alabama. I do. And I think the trip late to Oklahoma is scary. I think this is a tough schedule. I mean, Alabama's got to play Georgia. They got to play Tennessee. They got to play LSU. And they got to play Oklahoma. That's a lot tougher than some of these teams. I mean,
and don't forget,
again, we've talked a lot about it, but Ole Miss has avoided a lot of these people.
Don't forget about the Missouri game as well.
Yeah, got to play Missouri. So I mean, it is a really tough schedule. So, but Missouri and Georgia at home, but going to Tennessee, LSU, and Oklahoma, it's gonna be really, really tough. But no, I'll do my game by game predictions before the season. I will.
And as far as high school football goes, my team plays Friday, and they got a tough schedule too. They got Hoover, Thompson, Prattville, Hillcrest. So they got a gauntlet as well. But if they can manage it, I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, that's every team, whether it's high school, college, the NFL, managing that schedule, regardless of whether it's considered tough or easy, you still have to manage it game by game. And we know that, every week's important, and, teams get upset every week. So you got to be able to focus and prepare for the teams on your schedule that are considered to be easier games, just as hard and with much intensity as you do for the games that are considered to be tougher games. Because if you don't prepare for the games that everybody thinks you're going to win, that's when you get tripped up. So that's the challenge for every team out there, man. It is hard whether you're playing 10 games in high school or 12 in college or 17 in the NFL. It is hard every week to manage that. That's why very few teams go undefeated. I mean, we haven't had an undefeated team in the NFL since 1972. And we know how hard it is for all the great teams Nick Saban had, a lot of great teams. Only 2 made it all the way to the finish line undefeated, 2009 and 2020. He was 12-0 in 2000. I talk about that all this time, 12-0 in 2008 before they lost. They were 11-0 a couple of times before they lost. They were 14-0 one time before they lost. I mean, it's hard to win them all. So that is always the challenge.
Yeah, and the last time an undefeated team came close was when Tom Brady played the Giants and they lost.
Giants, yep, and they lost the final game. And everyone thought for sure that would be the team that would be the first since the Miami Dolphins to finish the season undefeated, and they lost in the final game. So, again, it's hard to win them all. Hey, got to run, Corey, man. Have a great time on your vacation, okay, buddy?
You too, Gary. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide, my friend. That is Corey, who is actually right down here in Orange Beach, just like I am, although I will be coming back today after my show. Hey, before we get to this first time out, I do want to remind you with football season right around the corner, we're going to be starting up our T-Town Menswear T-Town Gallery giveaways. A week from Friday, we give away some great gifts from Tom and the folks there at T-Town Menswear T-Town Gallery in the University Mall. Autographed football, hand-signed prints. We'll start that a week from Friday. Man, everybody last year loved the opportunity to play Bama football trivia and win some of those incredible prizes that we gave away. And right now, it is available. Tom has got that beautiful print with Milroe on one side, connecting with Isaiah Bond on the other side of the color print. It is available and signed. And also, of course, for you fraternity guys there getting ready for fall, he's got the classic look, the navy blue blazer, the khaki trousers, the red tie.
City Brewing Company on Saturday, August 24th. Doors open up at 3 p.m. Tickets are $10 with proceeds benefiting the Tuscaloosa Metro Animal Shelter. Learn more at ashfest.org.
As much as Innisfree has evolved, it will always be that place to escape and have a good time. Whether it's for a game day weekend, to reminisce on college days, or to create new memories, if you're looking for a good time, there's only one thing to do. Head to the Free at 1925 University Boulevard. And don't forget about the Lucky Lunch Meet and
It's a sensational giveaway that you don't want to miss. Play at Pearl River Resort and walk away a winner. Must be 21 or older to play.
Since 2011, Billy's Sports Grill, located on Main Avenue in historic downtown Northport, has been serving their legendary signature chicken sandwich, award-winning wings, and handcrafted cocktails. Billy's is also the spot to watch all your favorite sporting events with big screen, high-definition televisions in both dining rooms, at the bar, and outside on the beautiful patio. Come by and say hello to Kim and Lisa, the Billy's Management Dream Team. Billy's, good food, good friends, and good time.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The weather not as humid today. The sky mostly sunny, the high 89. Clear and pleasant tonight, the low 66. Tomorrow and Wednesday, sunny both days, highs between 87 and 90. And Thursday, we stay dry, the sky sunny, the high 89. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
You're listening to the Gary Harris Show. For Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, 9:23. Welcome back into the Gary Harris Show. Rodney Orr, TiderInsider.com. Coming up in the next segment, we'll pick his brain about the scrimmage, what he was able to find out. He had a nice report at TiderInsider.com. Look ahead to a big recruiting decision coming up tomorrow. A big announcement from A.K. Deer, the running back out of Quitman, Mississippi, announcing tomorrow, and I think everyone feels pretty good about Alabama. We'll ask Rodney about that. I'm Gary Harris here in Orange Beach, Alabama, and coming back as soon as my show's over today, I'll be back on TV and in the studio and everything tomorrow, and looking forward to that. But enjoying this show, and you're welcome to join us, 205-342-9904. One thing I did not mention, the NASCAR race up in Michigan, man, the weather got them again. They're going to finish that race up this morning. They got hit with horrible weather up in Michigan, and are going to have to finish the race up today. So I've got Joey Logano, and Matt Coulter has Kyle Larson in our NASCAR picks, so they did not even get to finish that race. In golf, as I said, the playoffs are underway. The FedEx St. Jude Championship up in Memphis. It was hot. It was humid, but Hideki Matsuyama did it. He had a 5-shot lead over Nick Dunlap going into the final round yesterday, and he had a terrible, nightmare start to his back nine. And after 15 holes, the guy was one back of Victor Hovland. And then he turned it on, man. Incredible birdies on 17 and 18. Hovland had a bogey. I think it was on 17. It might have been on 18. So it is Matsuyama winds up winning, I think, by 2 strokes over Hovland and Xander Schauffele. As we mentioned, though, Nick Dunlap finishes 5th. And that was what he needed. That's what he needed to move on to the next round of the playoffs, the top 50 players. But as I said earlier, for Nick Dunlap, what really is cool about this is by finishes in the top 50, it secures his schedule for next year. The top 50 get to play in all the elevated events. Now, sure, he'd like to go on in this week's event and finish strong enough to get into the top 30, and the top 30 advance onto the Tour Championship at East Lake in Atlanta. But that'll be tough because I think he's coming in at, I want to say, maybe 47th. So he'll have to make up a lot of ground to get into the top 30. He'll have to probably have another tournament very similar to this one, finish in the top 5 or 10 to have a chance to advance to East Lake. But even if he doesn't make it to the Tour Championship again, to finish in the top 50 gives him the opportunity next year in his first full year on tour. You got to remember, next year will be his first full year on tour. At 20 years old, already have 2 wins. And again, he did all this getting to this point without those 500 points that he would have gotten if he'd been a pro when he won the American Express Championship. If he'd gotten those 500 points, you know, he'd be probably sitting right now, instead of being in the 40th, 47th or whatever he is, he would be probably in the top 25 or so and on pace to make it to the Tour Championship just by having a solid finish coming up. But we'll see what happens there this weekend. And but really nice story for Nick Dunlap. As we said, Justin Thomas also advancing. And Justin Thomas now is kind of, you know, by his standards, he's officially in a slump. I mean, he won 15 times, 2 majors, a Players' Championship as well, before he was 30. And now he has not won in over 2 years. And he's had a solid year. He's had a pretty good year. But this was a guy who, you know, was at one time number 1 in the world and was on pace, you would think, by, you know, the way he was winning tournaments, that he would have won 3 or 4 times or maybe 5 times over the last couple of years, and maybe another major. And it has not happened. Again, evidence that it is so difficult out there on the PGA Tour. And even just a small look, Jordan Spieth, another one. Look at how Jordan Spieth was playing. And now, you know, you can be great and just slip a little bit. And you go from being one of the top players in the world to a guy who's, you know, kind of middle of the pack. And with all the young talent that continues to come out, Justin Thomas is finding out, man. There's already these young guys now that are coming out like a Dunlap, and guns a blazing. So it's a challenge. Also, when we get to Casey Smith on golf, we'll talk about the LIV event as well at the Greenbrier up in West Virginia, won by Brooks Koepka.
Queso, sweet vinaigrette dressing, and spicy Cajun sauce. And check out our breakfast catering menu. Blues Q and Brew is open 7 days a week. We're located at 1825 McFarland Boulevard North in the Northridge Center.
Life doesn't wait for when your finances are in perfect order. It just happens. But no matter what surprises come your way, Alabama Credit Union will be here to help make it affordable with great personal loans, mortgages, and auto loans. They offer an easy application process and fast decisions so you can stay focused on feeling good about whatever life brings your way. Alabama Credit Union will be here to help make it affordable with great personal loans, mortgage.
511-511. Text muscle to 511-511 today. All individuals are unique. Your results can and will vary. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Text fees may apply.
Your home for Alabama Crimson Tide football. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, 9:31. Welcome back into the Gary Harris Show, and it's time for Mr. Tider Insider Rodney Orr with his Monday morning update, scrimmage recap, recruiting update, and more. Good morning, Rodney. How are you?
Good morning, Gary. How are you?
Doing well, my friend. Headed back to Tuscaloosa after the show, but one more morning here in beautiful Orange Beach. Hey, scrimmage on Saturday, not open to the media, but Coach DeBoer did meet with you guys after the scrimmage, and we'll have his comments coming up a little bit later on in the show. But based on what he said and also some intel that you were able to get, I know you had a really nice report at TiderInsider.com. I read it, and it sounds to me like the key word for this scrimmage, based on the information that you were able to gather, was physicality. They got after it pretty good, it sounds like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think a lot of times when these scrimmages one thing you always try to get is individual performances. I think that's always something that people want to hear. How did this guy perform or that guy do or whatever? But this time I think it was kind of dominated by the theme of it being that it was physical, extremely physical. And even, Kalen DeBoer said it was the most physical of all the 5 scrimmages that they've had since he's been here. But talking to people and different people too, and people that aren't even connected with each other, they said the same thing. I mean, one guy said it was, it's just brutal, in terms of the hitting. And another guy said described it as violent, very violent. So they got after it pretty hard. And, some people were surprised just how physical the scrimmage was. But apparently, that was the plan. I mean, the defense, I guess you could say, won the day.
Yeah, and I think that is positive news for most Alabama fans because many of us, me included, feel like this offense is going to be dynamic, but the concerns have been on the defensive side of the ball, particularly with that young secondary and maybe some of those young edge rushers. So to hear that the defense got the better of it, I think that's music to Alabama fans' ears, Rodney. Would you agree?
No, I think it is, certainly to hear about the defense, because that's probably one of the bigger question marks I think a lot of Alabama fans are asking. With Nick Saban being around here for 17 years, you knew what to expect pretty much defensively through most of those years. And now there's a big transition. I mean, going, to Kane Womack, and, people are questioning, or not necessarily questioning, but are curious about, how this is going to look. Right. So I think that curiosity will be there until we get into the season for sure and start to see, how they perform. But it was great to hear that, from multiple sources that there were several players that really performed well on that side of the ball, that showed a lot of potential and just kind of the aggressive attitude and style that they had.
Ronnie, one positive, and we haven't gotten to the first game yet, but so far it appears that Alabama has come out really well as far as the injuries are concerned. Now, there is, I'll ask you about Jaden Roberts, the starting right guard, is going to have a procedure on his hand, it appears, but should be back ready to go. But injury-wise, this team seems to have come out on the right end, at least so far. With no more scrimmages now until the opening game, you would figure that they're going to go to that first game, pretty healthy, very healthy in fact.
Yeah, hopefully so. like you mentioned, Jaden Roberts, I know his mother tweeted out yesterday, so it's nothing that hasn't been out there that he had surgery on his hand, but he was expected to be okay. Gary, I've heard he may actually be back taking part in some things this week. So I do think he probably will be ready for Western Kentucky, the season opener, if they want to play him. So, it's good news, great news, because I know there was a lot of concern, a lot of buzz immediately after the scrimmage about the severity of it, even though DeBoer said, really don't have any guys that have anything significant that will prevent them from, being ready. So that's great news. No, I mean, it's tremendous news to hear that. I think especially when you look at the offensive line, especially there on the right side of the offensive line, you're going to have a new right tackle, whether it's Wilkin Formby or Elijah Pritchett, which right now I would probably, give Wilkin Formby the edge at that spot. I think, overall he seems to have gotten the most reps with the number one. So, but again, DeBoer says it's still a competitive battle.
Rodney, obviously there's a lot of players that we knew quite a bit about going into fall camp and guys that we're expecting to be, key contributors and leaders on this team. But are there a couple of guys maybe that you, as you followed through this process of fall camp, that I'm not going to say came out of nowhere, but guys that maybe you think may surprise as far as their contributions to the team this year, based on the fact maybe that they're freshmen or transfers, or guys that we just haven't heard a lot about? Anybody that you're keeping an eye on that has caught your attention during fall camp?
Just as a contributor or leader?
Contributor, leader, just maybe some, guys that we didn't know much about going into fall camp, whether it's because they're, like I said, freshmen or transferring in, just some guys maybe that were flying under the radar that all of a sudden you think are going to be key contributors this year.
Well, I think that's a great question, because I'm still wondering this wide receiver group. I mean, I think we know mainly the top guys, but then Rico Scott, the true freshman from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, had 2 touchdown catches in this scrimmage. I noticed on the video released by UA, because it is closed to the media, the scrimmage, I noticed on that video that one of his touchdown receptions appeared to come against the first team defense, or, some of the top defenders back there in the secondary, and it was thrown by Milroe. So, he obviously got some legitimate work in this scrimmage and caught a couple of touchdown passes. You wonder if he might be carving a niche for himself in this preseason camp, because, like I said, he took one significant shot in the end zone. I mean, Gary, he was leveled and hung on to the ball. Is really impressive. So he's a big physical kid. So maybe, he's creating a spot for himself. There's a lot of guys in that wide receiver room. It's extremely competitive. We know that Ryan Williams, again, had some really good plays there. And it's just a group with Jeremy Bernard that is probably going to be, I would say, the leader of the group, or certainly one of those leaders in that group. And Kendrick Law is in the mix as well, as we know, Kobe Prentice and several others. But it's going to be really interesting if a guy like Rico Scott could carve out a role for himself. And I tell you, even with that said, Amari Jefferson, another true freshman receiver, I understand he had a great shoestring catch. He broke a tackle, scored, was called back because of a penalty. But I heard he showed a lot of promise as well.
Rodney, when you have a new coaching staff come in after, like you said, 17 years of Nick Saban, it was just, you just become used to the fact that you're going to be good. And even when he'd have changes in his staff, as long as Nick Saban was in charge, you knew that this program was in good hands. Suddenly he's gone. You bring in a brand new staff, new head coach. And so there is concern about how these players will adapt. But at least from my perspective, it seems like it's just couldn't have gone any better. And I noticed yesterday, in fact, all the, assistant coaches that were tweeting out the pictures of them with their position groups, having them over for Sunday lunch after church yesterday. And it just feels like that this coaching staff and these players have bonded in a way that you would hope with a new staff, but it doesn't always happen like that. You look around the country and there are growing pains. It seems like this staff and these players have really hit it off well. Do Would that be your perspective as well?
Definitely. I think, Kalen DeBoer and his staff, the way they do things is they make a concerted effort to build those strong relationships. And it seems like that, like I said, I think you can see it on the practice field. I said that last week or two on this show right here. But you can kind of see how all that carries over onto the practice field. So, yeah, I mean, I think I definitely see that. And, I think there's a bit of a rejuvenation out there in terms of just kind of the energy in the players, the excitement, and all of those things. That's not taking anything from Nick Saban, what he did for 17 years. It's just this transition, as you said, it's gone really well to this point. And, I think those relationships that they've worked extremely hard to build is part of the process of creating chemistry on this team. And it starts with the coaching staff. And I think to this point, it looks like there's a great chemistry right now with this team.
Ronnie, this week, we're 12 days out from the first game. Of course, next week will be game week. But this week, coming out of this second scrimmage, I asked you about a little bit about this last week on Tider Insider TV, but this is the week where really now it gets down to the nitty gritty. I mean, you start repping your first two groups, and a lot of the guys, younger players that are projected to play down the road, meaning next year, they get a lot less reps. This is more beginning this week, getting ready to play the games, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they're moving towards that. They probably already had a pretty good idea. Which guys are consistent? Which guys can we trust on a consistent basis? I think all of those things are probably, little details that they've pointed to and found in several of the guys. And, this week could be a big week for some, too, some decisions that they make. And there are going to be some guys, too, that may not contribute, as much early, but as they continue to grow and develop over the course of the season, they may have a role that eventually they work them into. So it's going to be really interesting. I think this, too, and you and I have talked about this for years, it's going to be interesting to me to see how many players do they play. I think, we've seen over the years here under Nick Saban the way he did it, and maybe you didn't see as many players get opportunities to play. Now, they ultimately had those opportunities, but it is a developmental process that they had to go through before they eventually won his trust to get on the field. And I just wonder what's going to kind of be the take here with Kalen DeBoer and his offensive and defensive coordinators, and how they're going to feel about maybe getting more guys involved. So, and again, I think you certainly have to judge that by guys that you can trust when you put them out there on the field. But I think that's one thing I'm going to really watch, is just to see how many guys earn those opportunities to get on the field, and if they play more guys.
Rodney, we heard great things about the special teams in this fall camp, from everything from, the kicking and punting to the return game. Have you been able to find out, because I know they've looked at several different people, as far as the return game on kickoffs and punts? Do you have a good feel where they're going to go with that now?
Well, when a coach uses the word trust, it kind of tells you a lot to me. And, Jeremy Bernard returned some punts there at Washington. I don't know how many. I know he was returning them in the Texas game some, and he's returned some other punts in different games. So I don't know if he was their number one guy. But Kalen DeBoer said Saturday he trusts Jeremy Bernard. He used the word trust in terms of fielding the ball, making good decisions, and all of those types of things. Would not surprise me if we see Jeremy Bernard back there at least early on punt returns, but they've got so many guys, whether it's I think he mentioned Jalen Mbakwe, Ryan Williams is two others. There's probably more that are capable of it. He mentioned Kendrick Law on kickoff returns. I remember Nick Saban once saying he thought Emmanuel Henderson had tremendous ability to, return kickoffs. So they've got plenty to choose from. There's no doubt about that, but those are some of the names. And by the way, I did hear Emmanuel Henderson had a 40-yard, I think it was 40 or 50-yard touchdown reception in this scrimmage from Ty Simpson, and hearing some good things about his development. And he's a guy that came out of high school as the top running back and switched positions to wide receiver and has had to learn the last couple of years. And you and I have watched him from the press box many times, and we've commented on, when you look at him run, he's a strider. I mean, he's really fun to watch run and just the raw skills that he's had. So hopefully he's developing to the point where he's gonna have an opportunity in that receiving rotation.
Right now, Bill Rose is starting quarterback. We know that. We also know that the very talented group of quarterbacks behind him, including Ty Simpson, the second team quarterback who is playing patiently. I know your first priority, obviously, is the coaching staff. Particularly the coaching staff is those first guys who've been out on the field and making sure your first quarterback is comfortable and in the swing of things and getting ready to go. Having said that, do you think there'll be a plan to play Ty Simpson in these first couple of games, or it'll just be by feel based on how the game goes? Or do you think that Coach DeBoer and Coach Sherry will actually have a plan to play him in these first two games against Simpson, or just kind of fill it out as the game goes?
Yeah, you're kind of muffled there on that question, but I think you're asking about the chances that Ty Simpson might play.
I think there'll be a plan to play.
Yeah.
Simpson in these first two games, or they'll just kind of go by play it by ear during the game without actually have a plan to get them in against Western Kentucky, South Florida.
Well, I think probably there is you have to go by the feel of the game. Some you certainly that has to play into it some, and those decisions that you make. But I would think that they would hope that they have an opportunity to get Ty in the game, maybe even quite a bit in these first couple of games if they go the way you hope they would go. Maybe because you never know when your quarterback goes down. You've got to have a guy that's got some snaps under his belt. Ty's got some. He got some last year. I thought at the end of the year, the Kentucky game, a couple other opportunities that he had, he looked really good. You could see him making some progress then. And he's really flourished, I think, since the second half of spring practice. My understanding, he had a pretty good scrimmage again on Saturday. So, but I think you always want to kind of get a guy some opportunities to get a feel to be out there in the event that he has to, get out on the field. So, I would think that to some extent it's going to be play it by ear, but at the same time, I think they probably have a plan that they would like to, and that's just my guess, like to get him out on the field and get him some reps in those first two games.
All right, before we close it out, let's get a little bit of recruiting. Big announcement coming tomorrow. The running back out of Woodman, Mississippi, who I assume that tomorrow the expectation is that he is going to select Alabama. Because Ole Miss got a commitment for running back out of Tennessee yesterday, right? Is that what you're hearing?
Yes, that's my expectation. I mean, we had A.K. Deere in our Firecracker 5 back on July 4th. He was one of the guys that we projected to Alabama, and now he makes his decision, as you said, tomorrow on the 20th. And right now I feel really good. I actually spoke to one of my guys over in Mississippi last night, and you're right, they did pick up the kid from Chattanooga who's a really good back. Ole Miss did, and I think Ole Miss expects, their side expects A.K. Deere to pick Alabama as well. So, yeah, a huge pickup. I think A.K. Deere is a guy that's really versatile. He's got a lot of tremendous breakaway speed, quickness, the ability to catch the ball. He's really elusive. I think by the end of this process, he's going to challenge to be a 5-star rated player. He's one of the top running backs in the country. And right now, like you said, I feel good about Alabama's position.
All right, we'll look forward to that. Sorry to break it up a little bit. I don't know what it is. I'm on Wi-Fi, but we will we'll try to get cleared up during the break. Go ahead and give the listeners a word about TiderInsider.com, and I know your book continues to be available as well.
Yeah, it's TiderInsider.com. It's only $48 a year. You can get instant access with your credit card if you prefer. There is an address there to send a check. Gives you all our front page, our premium information, but also our All Sports Forum, which our community of Alabama fans there. It's a great community, a lot of exchange, a lot of information, and a lot of opinions as well, obviously. But that, and then also, Gary, my book, as you mentioned, Bigger Than Bama, it's available at RodneyOrr.com or Amazon, either one, RodneyOrr.com or on Amazon. You can go there. You can get all the details of the book at either one of those spots.
And Insider TV tomorrow at 6:30 on WVUA 23. Thanks, Rod.
Okay, buddy. Take care.
All right. We're going to take time out, and Casey's going to see if we can get the line a little bit clearer when we come back on the other side. So we'll wrap up the first hour. We're right up to this time with 3.9 at 12:30 a.m. WTC, your home for Alabama Sports.
Coming up on The Game with Ryan Fowler.
Hey, coming up on the Monday edition of The Game, we're going to recap Alabama's final scrimmage. We'll provide you the latest from Kayla DeBoer. We'll get you ready for another busy week on the campus of the University of Alabama. We'll do it with Barrett Sallee. We'll do it with Drew Yarman, Martin Houston, all starting at 2 p.m. here on The Game on Tide 100.9, 1230. WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
The longest running sports program in Tuscaloosa. The Game with Ryan Fowler. Weekdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Tuscaloosa's Old Colony Golf Course is an 18-hole championship layout designed by 1976 U.S. Open champion Jerry Pate. Director of Golf John Gray and fitting specialist Bob Montgomery are PGA certified. Mike Shivitz is the head professional and director of the Tuscaloosa Junior Golf Program. Call today to secure a tee time.
Legislation now.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text stop to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Los Tarascos has been serving Mexican favorites like burritos, fajitas, and quesadillas since 1999. Their new location is at 4100 Owen Parkway in Northport. And of course, you can find Los Tarascos in Tuscaloosa at 110 Skyland Boulevard. The bar areas feature big screen television so you can enjoy your favorite sporting events. Los Tarascos features daily happy hour.
Us at 3537 Skyland Boulevard East, or check us out online, bmwoftuscaloosa.com. BMW of Tuscaloosa. Take your dreams for a drive.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The weather not as humid today. The sky mostly sunny, the high 89. Clear and pleasant tonight, the low 66. Tomorrow and Wednesday, sunny both days, highs between 87 and 90. And Thursday, we stay dry, the sky sunny, the high 89. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
Covering University of Alabama sports, as well as the national and local scene as well. The Gary Harris Show, only on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, 9:54, and I think Chase has got everything straightened out on the line. It sounds loud and clear now on my end. If we had a little bit of choppiness there during Rodney's interview, I apologize for that, but I think we've got it squared away now. It should be sounding loud and clear right now, aren't I, Chase?
You sound amazing.
Yeah. Shoot, I don't know what happened there. We had a little bit of a breakup, but I think you got the gist of it with Rod, and a real good interview there. But we've got it cleared up now for the rest of the show, including hour number 2 with Casey Smith when he's on at 10:30. And we're also going to get to that Kayla DeBoer press conference audio from Saturday following Alabama scrimmage. As you heard Rodney say, the theme of the scrimmage seems to be that it was very, very physical, and they got after it with a lot of intensity, which is, I think, a positive thing, and didn't get anyone hurt. But we're able to really go hard and bring the intensity and the effort and the physicality to that scrimmage, which is always a good thing, because it's time to get serious now. Like we were talking about with Rodney, this is in some ways the season's here. This would be just like, let's say you played a game on Saturday and you had a bye. That's kind of what this is like now. I mean, you got to wait until a week from Saturday, but there's going to be 2 byes during the season, so there'll be two Saturdays where Alabama doesn't play football, and that's kind of the way this is. It's like, yeah, they don't play this Saturday, but they play the next Saturday. So the season really is here, and it's going to be time to start keeping score, and we'll see how it goes. But everything that you do during this fall camp dictates how you play on Saturdays during the season. That's why it's so important, and it's so critical to your success. You have to be you have to be prepared, and you have to have a great fall camp in order to have a good football team. And everything appears to be in good shape with Alabama and how this fall camp has gone. And I think they're going to be ready to hit the ground running on Saturday night, a week from Saturday night when Western Kentucky comes to town at 6 p.m. inside Bryant-Denny Stadium. Then, of course, the next week, that's on the 31st of August. Then on September the 7th, they'll dedicate Nick Saban Field at Bryant-Denny Stadium at the South Florida game. So something to look forward to. All right, that's going to wrap it up for the first hour of the Gary Harris Show. It's been brought to you by Alabama Credit Union. Hour number 2 is coming up. We'll get to more phone calls. We'll hear from Kalen DeBoer, and we'll have Casey Smith on golf. All coming up in the second hour of the Gary Harris Show. You stay with us.
.365 24/7. You'll find road and utility crews, tow truck, law enforcement, and first responders working along Alabama's roadway.
We're making improvements and helping our communities stay connected.
We're working hard to make sure you're safe on the road. Now we need your help to make sure we're safe too.
Alabama's Move Over law requires you to move over a lane when you see flashing lights on the road.
DEAL or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511 today. All dogs are unique. Your dog results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Nick Cope.
Sunday in baseball, the Brewers finished off a sweep of the Guardians with a 2-0 win behind 7 scoreless innings from starter Colin Ray. So the battle of Central Division leaders goes to Milwaukee. In the Little League Classic, the Tigers edged the Yankees 3-2 in 10 innings. Also, the Orioles beat the Red Sox 4-2. That moves Baltimore back into a tie with New York at the top of the AL East. Elsewhere, Shohei Ohtani hit his 39th home run of the season, and the Dodgers clipped the Cardinals 2-1. In the NFL, the Raiders named Gardner Minshew their starting quarterback. He beat out incumbent Aiden O'Connell. Reports say a veteran NFL QB, Colt McCoy, is retiring from the sport and moving into a broadcasting role with NBC for their Big Ten coverage. And Caitlin Clark set the WNBA rookie record for assists in a season as the Fever beat the Storm 92-75. Clark had 23 points and 9 dimes.
Now, this hour's West Alabama real-time news update from the Tuscaloosa Thread Newsroom.
More than 300 Hale County residents, 250 Perry County residents remained without power this morning after severe storms blew through West Alabama Sunday. At least 6 homes in Greensboro had trees on them. Alabama Democrats are in Chicago today for the beginning of their national convention. It comes amid infighting within the state delegation. The city of Demopolis proposing a controversial plan to turn the historic 110-year-old former Demopolis High into apartments. Nearby residents claim it would create too much population density.
Get 24/7 local news coverage and sports updates when you download the free Tuscaloosa Thread app and sign up for twice daily email newsletters. The Gary Harris Show. UCM host Tider Insider TV, Crimson Tide Kickoff, play-by-play for Alabama sports, and sports director for WVUA 23. It's time for the Gary Harris Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Hour number 2 of the Gary Harris Show is on the air right here on Tide 100.9 FM and 1230 AM WTBC, sounding loud and clear now. I don't know why we had a little bit of interference there in that first hour, but we've got it straightened out. I'm here in Orange Beach, Alabama, heading back to Tuscaloosa here in a little bit just after my show, and Chase Brumfeld's back there in our Tide 100.9 FM, 1230 AM WTBC studios. Casey Smith on golf coming up at 10:30. Also, we're going to get to some Kalen DeBoer audio, his press conference. We're going to get to that in a few minutes unless we get a phone call. But phone lines are open on the Pinnacle Park at North River hotline at 205-342-9904. So I'll give it a couple minutes here to see if we get a call. And if we do, we'll take the call. If we don't, we'll go ahead and go to Coach DeBoer's press conference from Saturday. It was only about 10 minutes, so we're just going to play it for you in its entirety rather than play the clips so you get the whole feel for the press conference and what he had to say, because he was not quite as, talkative as he usually is. It was a little bit shorter and a little bit more to the point. So we will, we'll just play it and with the questions and, and the answers as well. But we do have a phone call right now, so we'll jump out on the Pinnacle Park at North River Hotline, 205-342-9904, and that's where we find Bryce this morning. Good morning, Bryce.
Good morning, Gary. Are you still at the beach or are you back home?
I am. I'm coming back. I'm coming back after my show.
How's the weather down there?
It's been perfect. It has been great. It has been.
Good.
Got a little thunder boomer. Pardon me. Caught a little thunderstorm on Saturday evening for about an hour. Outside of that, it's been just nothing but sunshine. It is a little bit overcast this morning, but doesn't look threatening. It's just a little overcast, but it doesn't really matter now because I'm going to be hitting the road anyway. So if it wants to rain when I get out of here, that's fine.
Hey, I don't know if you know where Hillsboro is. Did you see what happened in Hillsboro Saturday?
I did, and what Bryce is referring was a storm came through Hillsboro, Alabama on Saturday afternoon at I guess it was like a festival or carnival or some type of deal, and it came up quickly and just absolutely ripped through. I guess it was straight line winds, Bryce, but it wasn't a tornado, was it? But it was awful.
Mm-mm. That's about 10 miles from me.
Yeah. I knew it was up there in North Alabama. Where exactly? But you didn't get anything. It was just you missed
some rain. I got some rain, and I went Saturday night to the watermelon festival they have in Russellville, and I've lived here. Of course, I was going in Dallas for 22 years, and I've never been to the watermelon festival. Russellville's the watermelon capital of Alabama, and I didn't realize that. A friend of mine was playing down there, and I went and took it in. It was stuffy, but they didn't get no rain down there. But I got a little shower probably about the time that wind come through Hillsboro. I live in Decatur, which is about 10 miles from there. Hillsboro,
how far is Hillsboro from Muscle Shoals?
Well, you know where Cortland is?
Yeah.
Oh, it's about 5 miles from Cortland.
Okay, so Hillsboro is a little bit, it's a little bit west of Huntsville, right?
Yeah, it's west of Huntsville. It's about 10 miles from Decatur.
It's 10 miles from Decatur. That's I'm trying to get.
72.
I know pretty much where it's at, but it's because it's a small town, right?
Yeah, it's just a little wide spot in the road.
Yeah.
Do you ever come through?
Man, did nobody got hurt or anything when that came through, did they?
The bouncy house, they just threw it up about 100 feet in the air. It's crazy. But
I saw the video. It was nuts, man. Lord, I'm glad everybody's okay. So, I just saw the clip on social media, and I didn't, being down here on, a little getaway, I didn't pay too much attention to it. I saw it came through, and I was like, well, that's awful. But it came through quickly like that. It just goes to show you, man, that weather, it can stir up in a hurry. So, anyway, I'm glad everybody's all right.
If you ever come through Hillsboro, there's a restaurant called Dots. It's a soul food restaurant. Some of the best food you ever eat. It's good. It's called Dots. And
it's meat and three.
Yeah, well, they have a little bit of everything and desserts. I mean, it's been here a long time, but it's soul food, and I like stuff like that myself. And once in a while, it won't hurt you to eat something like that. Can't eat it every day, but got to treat yourself every once in a while, Gary.
Oh, believe me, I've treated myself down here. I get away for a few days and you like. Now, don't be wrong. I love seafood. So I love seafood, but man, I had dessert after every meal, and I've let it go here lately. I got to kick the diet back in, man. I got to get back to eating right. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You get out of the habit of it, and man, I have been indulging and allowing myself to eat. And, but I tell you what's a killer for me, Bryce, really, is sweet tea. I have a sweet tea addiction, and I can get off of it, and I can quit having it for, 2-3 weeks, and then you give me one glass of it, man, and it's like, I love sweet iced tea. Do you like it?
For years, I've been just drinking tea with lemon in it, no sugar, for years, because I like sweet tea too. But I'm a little bit older than you, and I try to take care of myself as we get older.
Well, I'm trying to too. That's what I'm telling you. I need to get off the sweet tea because that sugar's bad. I agree. I mean, but I'm just telling you, that's my weakness, man. When I have a meal, I want to have a glass or two of sweet tea, but I got to get off of it, get back to the unsweet. And
take some lemon and put in it. You can do it.
Yeah. I'm a little lemon, maybe a little honey, and sweeten it that way. But yeah, I'm gonna try to get it back, get the diet clean back up when I get back to Tuscaloosa for football season, because I put some on, my friend, and it happens fast.
Hey,
well, give me a little Alabama football buzz here, because we didn't call in to talk about the weather and my weight the whole time. Give me a little Alabama football buzz. How you feeling?
Well, I'm feeling good. ESPN had their prediction. That's why I called you. Did you see it? We had us losing one game. And,
wow, that's not bad.
ESPN don't know what they're talking about, because they said we hadn't played Oklahoma in Norman since the 70s. We played them either in 2001 or
played them in 2002. Played them out there in 2002 and had them beat.
I was at the game.
And remember, the ball slipped out of Tyler Watt's hand. Remember, he went to throw the ball and this one came out backwards. Yeah, it was crazy.
But that wasn't the play that I saw, and I don't care what anybody says. I was there watching it live. That running back from Oklahoma scored that touchdown, stepped out of bounds about 3 times, and they didn't call it.
Yeah.
What anybody says. Yeah, I don't know who that running back was. I can't remember his name, but Tyler Watt, I was watching the game, and he come out there with that look in his eye. I saw him walking out of the locker room. He was ready to take it to him, and he did.
And ESPN said Alabama hadn't played out in they didn't play in Norman. They didn't play out in Norman in the 70s. I don't know where they came up with that. The last time they played out there was 2002.
The 70s. But I was there. It's the hottest place I've ever been.
Yeah. I had a bunch of people. I wasn't there, but I had a bunch of people that was, and it was hot, brutally hot. But I don't think – I'm trying to remember if Alabama had ever played in Norman prior to that game.
In
2002.
The 70s. I was young.
I don't think they played in – I'm telling you, I don't think they played in Norman in the 70s. When did they play in Norman, Oklahoma in the 70s?
Yeah.
Coach Bryant never took a team out there. They didn't play in Norman, Oklahoma. Alabama did not play a game in Norman, Oklahoma in the 70s.
The Blue Bonnet game.
Yeah, that wasn't in Norman. That was a bowl game. That was in Houston, Texas.
That was in Houston, isn't it?
Yeah. So I'm trying to remember another time that Alabama played out there other than 2000.
I have to look it up, Gary, but I feel real good about this team. What everybody's liking now, and this NIL and this transfer portal is like Kirby talked about the other day. The debt. You don't have the debt anymore. You can't afford to get too many people hurt. Because
I'm with you. You got to be really careful. These coaches now they try to get a team ready and get them ready to be physical and tackle and all that, and at the same time be smart about getting people hurt. It's a fine line, man. And no matter what you do, though, sometimes guys are going to get hurt. It's just part of it. But these coaches do everything they can to keep them healthy. But I think we're all ready to go at this point, Bryce. I think we're ready to tee it up and play some football, man. I think that tired of talking about it, to be honest with you. I'm tired. I do it for a living, and I'm tired of talking about it. I want to go play, so I'm looking forward to some high school games, this Thursday night, Friday night, and then a couple of the week 0 games over the weekend in college football. And then next week, it's full speed ahead, buddy.
What coaching position is Trent Richardson coaching at Hoover?
I'm not sure. I assumed that it would be having something to do with the running backs. because obviously that's what he played. But a lot of coaches, coach positions that they didn't play. So I don't really know because, he got hired and it wasn't long after that all that stuff happened with Drew Gilbert.
Oh, I know. It's crazy.
And so it's kind of, I haven't heard much talk about what Trent's doing because I think they're scrambling over there now to kind of get, kind of hit the reset button and get ready to go without, so anyway, so I don't know, but Trent will do a good job.
Right. Well, until they put some guardrails on this NIL and this transfer portal, you're gonna have stuff happen like we got a linebacker committed, and somebody's gonna offer more money, and they gonna run for the dollar signs.
Well, that's part of it everywhere you go, man. That's just part of. I wanted to ask Rodney about that, and we kind of started having a little breakup in the line, but recruiting now is. I mean, you have a guy committed the whole time up until signing day, and somebody can come in and offer him an NIL deal. So we just have to get used to it. Hey, you got to get to the break.
They put some guardrails. Thanks. I appreciate you letting me talk, Gary.
Yeah, Bryce, good to hear from you. Always is. 10:14 here on the Gary Harris Show. And right now is a great time to join the YMCA. Well, any time's a great time to join the YMCA, but it's even better right now. And I'll tell you why. Because the YMCA has a no joining fee through September the 30th. Join without a joining fee. And also, you know what an advocate I am for personal training? And I've got to get back and get started. I'm telling you, man, I've got to get back. I've been going a little bit to the Y, but when I get back to Tuscaloosa, it's time to kick it in for football season and get myself in gear. Personal training is a great way to get over the hump. I'm telling you, I'm an advocate for it. 10% off all new personal training packages through September the 30th. So if you've been thinking about a personal trainer, now you've got even more incentive. I'm telling you, the personal trainers at the Y, they will come up with a program specific for you, and they'll be there. You have to do the work, but they'll be there to help you get over the hump. And consider that right now. Personal training package from the YMCA, 10% off all personal training packages through September the 30th.
Or return it for free with Lume's 60-day money-back guarantee. That's LUME deodorant.com, code SHOWER, to save 15% today.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The weather not as humid today. The sky mostly sunny, the high 89. Clear and pleasant tonight, the low 66. Tomorrow and Wednesday, sunny both days, highs between 87 and 90. And Thursday, we stay dry, the sky sunny, the high 89. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
Need to know what's going on with the Crimson Tide? Then subscribe to our YouTube channel for exclusive content on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, 10:18. Welcome back into the Gary Harris Show. And Kalen DeBoer, Alabama head football coach, met with the media inside Bryant-Denny Stadium on Saturday following the scrimmage and took some questions. And we're going to play his press conference for you right now. Here's head coach Kalen DeBoer from Saturday inside Bryant-Denny Stadium.
Scrimmage number 2 weeks from today, we're on the field, game day. So days are counting down, and another really productive scrimmage. Different situations from what we probably got into just naturally, not even scripted or being intentional. Just a little bit more red zone inside the 10 work that happened at the end. Really, again, good give and take. I think the defense continues they did a good job against the run early. Offense hit a couple explosives. Just trying to give you an overall summary. I think, a couple takeaways by the defense, but did a great job of having to make it happen. Tip ball, diving player, great play. So, love that from the defensive side, that when those plays were to be made, they made them. I think offensively on the, just to flip it, some, pass catches by the receivers, which were extremely competitive with great defense, and coming down with those balls was good to see. And the positioning by the defense was also good to see. So very physical. I thought it was a very physical scrimmage. It is definitely the most physical scrimmage we've had since we've been here, out of the 4 or 5 counting the spring game. And so got through relatively healthy, some things this week with a couple guys that will hold them probably out for a few practices, but by the end of the week we should, for the most part, be having the guys that we need to be out there practicing, getting ready for week 1 against Western Kentucky. So getting some of the guys back that maybe were dinged up over the last week or two, slowly but surely. Kept a couple guys out just if they had to play, they could have. A guy like Jam Miller, I know you guys are well aware, just dinged up a week ago. And so just could have gone today if he needed to. Just not getting too crazy and being smart. So we're getting healthier, I think, even though we got a few guys dinged up today. Questions?
Do you have an update on Jaden Roberts? And then also just what did you see from the offensive line today?
Jaden will be able to play week 1. So he'll be able to play week 1. It won't be anything where he'll be out for a game or anything.
And then the update on that, just how the offensive line look today?
Just with I think, again, I thought it was probably the best give and take as far as pressure, but also just really being able to, kind of dig in and give a pocket for the quarterbacks. When we needed some time, they did it. But there was also some times, much like last week, where the defense, got to the quarterback and finished drives off. And a lot of times those are in your third down situations, third down, back to the wall, got home. And so I thought, with running backs, Jam in particular, not really doing anything out there. Rotation with some of those guys. I thought we were solid. I do think our defensive line is doing a really good job against the run.
Over on the right with Charlie.
Yeah, hey Coach, just what did you see from the corners today, and how's that group as a whole kind of come together over the course of the preseason?
Yeah, I thought they were really on top of receivers all day long. They understand their responsibilities in the right position. I'm sure there's a couple clips we can find. I mean, that's always going to be the case where, they could have been better, but really nothing as far as like busted assignments. I think they continue to get better each and every day. They're practicing out there and they really want to do it. There's a high level of want to, and they know a lot of eyes are on them. And so I'm really proud of the way they continue to bring it each and every day. Some physicality out there. I thought they had times when they needed to tackle and they got guys to the ground. Again, laid some hits on some guys running routes, both receivers, tight ends. So a lot of good things from that group. They continue to grow. They continue to improve each and every day and each and every week.
Yeah, that right tackle battle. What did you see out of those guys today?
Yeah, it certainly is. Just going to be a position, I think, that until we really get to some game time reps, I don't know if we'll have it completely ironed out just based on how it's gone so far. And so, both guys have their strengths and then things they do really well. And, those come out and, it's not like I feel like either of them are a liability. I think it's just a matter of figuring out which one is going to be our guy. And they both have done a lot to earn a lot of reps, so maybe we'll take that back a week from now if something else continues to evolve where one guy really steps up, but that seems to be the direction it's headed right now.
Stand left with Steven.
Coach, who's starting to catch your eye in the kickoff return, punt return aspect out there?
Yeah, I think, there's a couple different ways you look at it, right? You go with the veterans, being around Jeremy Bernard, as a returner. He's done them both. You're comfortable with him catching the ball. You're comfortable with him making good decisions, especially, when the ball's on a punt and the punt coverage team is flying down the field. He's going to make those good decisions. But I really think, we're also trying to bring some young guys. And young guys might be guys that are able to help us this year and maybe be the guys out there even week 1. But really is what we want to do is always be developing players, for the end of the season. Those moments, hopefully that you have a few games where, you don't want to send your number one guy out there and you have enough trust in your number two, got a lead or something like that. And then also a year from now, 2 years from now, you just want to have guys that have caught so many balls back there that it's just, you don't even flinch to think about putting them in the game. So, we got Mbakwe back there as a young guy, one of those guys I guess I would refer to. He's been really consistent. Ryan can do some things, and we trust him catching the ball. A K-Law could be back there with the explosives he has, especially I think maybe in a kick return, but also in a punt return. There's a few others too that we continue to work through, try to keep it a bigger pool than we do really trying to narrow it down. So,
stay on the right with Chase.
Just staying with special teams, how much work were you able to get in today on special teams, and how the kickers and punters look?
Yeah, first of all, Burnip, he's had an amazing camp. This spring, the first couple of days, I'll be flat out honest, the first couple of days of spring ball, I thought, man, he got a lot of potential, can be a little more consistent. You saw it at the end of spring ball, that consistency happened, and then he has been nothing but just phenomenal all camp, from day one. So I was interested to see how he'd come through the summer, and if he was ready to go. He was definitely ready to go. And he just continues to not just kick it, with great hang time and have distance, but, those specialty areas where you're trying to pin people down inside the 10. He's been really, really consistent that way too. Long snapper, got a veteran there with Nealand. Feel really good about him. And then it's been really good for our kickers to get in the stadium since in the last week for sure, but in the last week and a half, they've come over and taken a lot more reps. Just the kind of visualization and understanding, depth perception. I know you should, for all of us, right? You should be able to line up, and if it's a 25 or 35 yard field goal, it's just go out there and kick it. But I think there's a lot of visual things and understanding the inside of the stadium. They continue to do that. On the practice field, it's been super consistent. So it's just a matter of translating that over here. And I thought this week was a step up, not just today, but in the other days when they've been coming over here and doing their thing as well, whether it's with the team or on their own.
All right. Good stuff from the head coach of the Crimson Tide, Kalen DeBoer, breaking it down. Post-scrimmage on Saturday, I thought he was direct and to the point, and a little shorter press conference than what he's been having, but he got to it. And I tell you, I think that the intensity that we're hearing that they had on the field during that scrimmage, he seemed to bring to that press conference too. He was direct, and they're, you can tell it's getting close. It's getting close. All right, 10:28, and we're going to take a timeout. Before we do, though, I do want to continue to remind you that Who's Q and Brew is a great place for barbecue and great beers, mixed drinks. It's barbecue and really that's what we call it, Who's Q and Brew. And the Northridge Center off Highway 82 in Tuscaloosa, and they are doing delivery throughout Tuscaloosa and Northport through DoorDash. You can still call Who's Q and Brew to get it ordered. Place it at Who's Q and Brew, but it'll be DoorDash that handles it. But they do have full delivery now at Who's Q and Brew through DoorDash. And Who's Q and Brew is a great, great place for all of your barbecue specials daily. Drink specials, just a neat place. Buzz time trivia column for your takeout, and they'll take care of it for you through DoorDash. 205-248-769. 205-248-7069.
.com/deal or text deal to 511-511. Text deal to 511-511 today. All dogs are unique. Your dog results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
You see him on WVUA 23 covering sports and on Tider Insider TV on Tuesday nights. Don't miss a minute of the Gary Harris Show. Weekdays from 9 to 11 on Tide 100.9.
All right, 10:32. Welcome back into the Gary Harris Show. And it's time for Casey Smith on golf. And boy, we got a lot to discuss this morning. Good morning, Casey. How are you?
I am doing good, Gary. Hope you're doing well.
Doing great. Headed back from Orange Beach here, and just pretty much as soon as my show is over. So I'll be getting back to Tuscaloosa and kind of getting back in gear. Hey, listen.
Season mode.
Yeah, absolutely. What a tournament. The St. Jude, FedEx St. Jude Championship was unbelievable for a lot of different reasons. Drama galore, not just to see who was going to win, but who was going to get into that top 50 to advance to this week and also secure those elevated events for next year. And let's start right there. We'll get to Hideki Matsuyama in a moment, but for Nick Dunlap, this incredible storybook season continues. I mean, this was a guy who should have been defending his U.S. Amateur Championship, should have been coming off, his sophomore season at the University of Alabama. Instead, he's been on the PGA Tour after winning the Amex as a amateur, which he got no points for, would have gotten 500 points, wins the Barracuda, still gets into the playoffs without getting those points, and then is able to finish fifth place, had a chance to win, was in the final group with Hideki on Sunday, and advances on to the next event and secures a top 50. It's amazing. And the way he handled that pressure yesterday, Casey, I was blown away. I mean, I'm at the beach, but I'm trying to keep tabs on Nick Dunlap. And after that bogey on 17, all of a sudden, he goes from a chance to win the tournament to knowing he's got to make a par on 18, which may be the toughest hole out there in the final group, and he handled it like a champ.
Yeah, I mean, kudos to Nick Dunlap. I'm sure that he knew that he was probably pretty close. They do a lot of the leaderboards during the FedEx Cup. They'll show, live and projected. So he probably had a clue that he was not only playing for the tournament, but playing to advance. I was shocked about the bogey. But, he's playing with Hideki Matsuyama, who had a wild back nine, right? And so sometimes that just rubs off on you. But Hideki Matsuyama shoots one over par on the back nine, but made three birdies, two doubles and a double and two bogeys. I'm sure Dunlap, that stuff does affect you, what's going on in your group. And not to mention, he's trying to play for his third win on the PGA Tour on a rookie year and advance. Well done. He said it was his most nervous moment as a pro. He should be getting ready for his, senior year of golf, defending his U.S. Amateur title.
Getting ready for his junior year. He was only a sophomore.
Not senior, that's right. Yeah, junior year of golf and defending his U.S. Amateur title. Instead, he's playing in the top 50, playing for a chance to go to the top 30 of the Tour Championship the following week. He won his U.S. Amateur in Denver, and this week's BMW Championship, where the top 50 play, is in Denver at Castle Pines. Not the same course, but still, there's some familiarity with you're playing at altitude. Your course type, your grass type is going to be very similar at Castle Pines as it was where he won the U.S. Amateur. So hopefully he stays hot, and he's got a tall task to make the top 30. He probably needs another top 5 to make the top 30. So hopefully we get to celebrate him again next Monday.
Yeah, he'd have to play. You said it. He'd have to play great again and be in contention, but don't put it past him. I mean, he's starting to find his groove. And again, to realize that he kind of had to do this on the spur of the moment, that he was, like you said, he was not planning to turn pro until probably after the U.S. Amateur. He probably would have turned pro with the kind of decorated amateur career that he had, but he wins and he turns pro. He's learning on the fly, and he does not get those 500 points. I mean, the 500 points for that victory would have set him up. He had to come out, other than having a win and turning pro, he didn't get anything for that win. He didn't get any money. He didn't get any points. So to do that and still get to this point, I mean, I tell you, Casey, it's scary how good this guy's going to be. When you hear him talking about young players and they say, well, so-and-so's 24 and so-and-so's 25 and so-and-so's, 22. And this kid's still just 20. Won't turn 21 to December. And he's already got 2 wins.
He would be in 20th place right now if he got the 500 points.
Yeah, so he'd be set up to just have to play just solid to move on to the Tour Championship.
That's right.
So it is incredible
what he's done. I'm still, you're my golf go-to guy, but I'm kind of in awe. I just don't think that, I know guys are getting better and better, but I don't think we're going to see this again for some time, even amongst the great group of amateurs that's out there right now, somebody that's doing what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, this is really, really good. It's a great year, and you'll just see more consistency, I think, out of him. The talent's there. He knows how to win, and he knows how to play consistent golf. Probably just learning how to be a pro, and you can see that it's shaping up well for him. He's got all-world talent, and he keeps this up. He's somebody that'll be playing, and I mean, honestly, it'd be hard for him, to me, if he stayed hot and he had another good week, how would you not pick him as a captain's pick of the President's Cup?
Wow.
Paul,
think about that.
I mean, look at what the season, if they take the 500 points and put him in there and you go down the list, I mean, he's one of the top 12 U.S. players.
Wow. I mean, I had not even considered that. How incredible would that be? So it's a lot of fun, and I can't wait to watch him this coming week. The other former University of Alabama golfer to advance, of course, is Justin Thomas. I mean, he played okay. I mean, he finished tied for 30th, -5. But it's still just kind of, I don't know. I was trying to track him as best I could, and I think it was Saturday or one day he comes out birdie, to start his round, and you're thinking, but it's just the way it's been all year for him. When you think he's going to go low, that low round just hasn't been there the way they used to come for him. I mean, again, you look at what he did by the time he was 29, and now you realize he's 31 and he hasn't won in over 2 years, and he's solid. He's having a good year, but as you and I have discussed, by the standards that he has set for himself, this is not what he expected. I mean, he's about to go, unless he wins in the next 2 weeks, he's going to go through 2 winless seasons in a row. And I still just can't put my finger on it, other than he's just not quite the player that he was. I mean, everybody blames the putting, and they were talking about his putting stats again on the coverage. I mean, it's horrible. But now you start to see, because I'll track him, and, iron shots where he used to hit them in there 6-8 feet, drive in the fairway, 312 yards, second shot, it's to 34 feet or 38 feet or 42 feet or missing the green, and then he'll hit a stretch where he doesn't hit a fairway. He's just not the same player, Casey. What do you think has happened?
Yeah, I mean, he's saying on interviews that it's a game of misses, and he's got to miss better. He feels like his good is good and as good as it needs to be, or as good as it is in the field, and he doesn't feel like he's missing very well. And it is a game of misses. So, he's not missing very good with his driver, and he's not missing very good with his putter. And those are the two clubs. You gotta hit well and do well out there, execute well out there. He's earned $4.373 million this year. He had 8 top 25s, 5 top 10s, 1/3, no seconds, no first. He's played in 17 events, made 13 cuts. So, yeah, I mean, I really...
Oh, yeah, but most players out there would be an incredible year. I get it. But I'm just saying by the standard
he's winning, he's won a bunch early on, and now having the majors and players and all that, I don't know. I mean, the guys at the top, to me, are really dominant and gotten better, and that's not helping them because they're winning more times than not. When you combine a couple of those guys, you combine a Xander, you combine a Scotty. I mean, you start talking about tons of wins together. I don't know. It just seems like you're right. He's in tier 2 right now, stuck in tier 2 of the players out there, and where he'd always been in tier 1. I think it's more. He's saying miss better. I think he's going to definitely have to clean up the putting.
I think, too, it's a testament to what we're seeing on tour, again, about these guys coming out younger and better, quicker. I mean, Justin did it. I mean, he did it to people. He came out in his early 20s, and the next thing you know, he's a superstar. And it's not just him. His good buddy Jordan Spieth really is I think, not playing as well even as Justin is. Some of it is them and not being quite at the same level. And I think some of it, too, is just the caliber of players that keep coming out. And like you said, you don't have to slip much to be tier 2. And so a lot of it, like you said, it's just the guys at the top are just, I mean, you know, if you're going to beat Scotty Scheffler, you're going to beat Hideki, or you're going to beat Schauffele, or, you know, you're going to beat these guys. You can't just be good. I mean, you watch Scheffler this week, and it didn't even feel like he was not playing, as Tiger would say, he didn't have his A game. But yet, you know, midway through that round yesterday, or with 3 or 4 holes to go, he still got a chance to win. That's what the great players do. They're in it even when they don't have their best. And right now, Justin, you know, was tied for 30th. It's just, like you said, it's a different level right now.
Mm-hmm. It is a different level. And, you know, I think Nick Dunlap's going to trend into that top tier level.
Oh, absolutely.
JT is. Yeah, I think Nick Dunlap's got that type of top tier talent. And JT does as well. It's just, you know, who knows what the motivation is and what all's going on. Says he's working just as hard. So maybe he'll have a good off season or catch the lightning in a bottle this week. Hopefully they both qualify for the Tour Championship. I'd love for them to be around here when the Tour comes to Atlanta.
Yeah, man, that would be awesome to have both of those guys in it. U.S. Amateur, of course, last year had a lot more focus because of Dunlap, but not just because he wasn't in it. It just seemed like, I don't know, maybe, I don't know. There just didn't seem to be much buzz about the U.S. Amateur this year. Casey, am I reading the tea leaves wrong? Is just because of Dunlap not being in it, or what?
You know, I think that he probably didn't get as much coverage. Plus, then he went on to win. Plus, he and Gordon Sargent were also another Birmingham person. We're 1 and 2, really top 2 players in it. So we got a lot of pub out of that we all get to see that had guys involved in it. But yeah, Noah Kent beat Jose Ballestar 2-up at Hazeltine, and big win for Noah Kent from Naples, Florida. The U.S. Amateur is obviously the crown of jewel of amateur golf. And then in the Live golf, Brooks Koepka actually edged out John Rahm in a playoff. Pretty exciting playoff. Both tied 19 under, and John Rahm's trying to find his way back. Brooks Koepka, referenced John getting the best of him the last couple of times have been playoffs. So that was pretty good. And obviously Hideki Matsuyama on his win, to me, that back nine, that roller coaster of a back nine that he had, I thought was to have to birdie the last 2 holes, but after going like par, birdie, bogey, par, bogey, double, par, birdie, birdie. I mean, what a crazy up and down back nine for him. He had to be exhausted when that was over, just trying to get in. So big time win for him. He continues to show up and win like about once a year, as was, and that's a standard for that type of player. And I think we go back to JT. It's sort of his standard as well. So good for Hideki Matsuyama, and holding off Xander and Victor and Scotty and Sam Burns and Nick Dunlap. This leaderboard these next couple of weeks, they'll be really good. Get all the best players in the top of their game. So should have 2 good weeks of golf left.
Yeah, we should. And it's going to be exciting. And I was going to ask you about Brooks Koepka. Nice win for him on the Live Tour. And they were at Greenbrier, right?
They were at Greenbrier.
I've actually played that golf course back years ago. A friend of mine had gone to the University of West Virginia School of Osteopathic Medicine, and they had a fundraising golf tournament there. And this was back in the 90s when I was a little bit better than I am now. But what a great, beautiful place up there, White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia. I can tell you that. That is a gorgeous, gorgeous place. Well, Casey, we're all fired up about this next couple of weeks. How is it going to work now once the Tour Championship is over? Because we're back on the regular schedule, right? We won't have another regular Tour event until the Tournament of Champions out in Hawaii in January, correct?
No. So they'll still have a fall.
So they'll still have the fall wraparound. Okay.
They call it FedEx Fall, right? So basically, what they'll do is the guys who finished any of these guys can play. They're exempt, but the guys will go from that were outside that top 70 all the way up, the FedEx Cup fall. And, you have a chance. The top 125, it finalizes the eligibility for the top 125 for the next season.
Okay, good. That's what I wanted to be clear on. That's right. They're having to sit this out, but they'll be able to turn around and start back playing to try to get that 125 set. Good, yeah.
And we got a bunch of guys that we
a bunch
that are in that are going to have really good falls. So it'll be something to watch, and that starts up after the Tour Championship. Then they play out in California, in Napa, and then they take a couple weeks off, and then they go on sort of a run all the way through Sea Island in November. But you won't see most of these top guys.
Yeah, they
in these events.
But it'll be still good. Yeah, kind of ironic that last year Justin Thomas finished 71, his first year to miss the FedEx Cup playoffs, and this year the 71st player was Davis Riley. And had Nick Dunlap made bogey on 18, he would have been 51st, and he would have been the first one cut going to the next round. So I was so happy to see him get in because, as you talked about, that's huge for him for next year too. So a lot of fun. All right, Casey, great stuff, man.
Yes, sir, he does.
All right, talk to you next week.
Yes, sir. Take care.
All right, buddy. Bye. And
we're having some technical difficulties here. We'll get Gary back on the line here in just one moment. However, we are going to go ahead and take this final ad break as we get ready to wrap up the Gary Harris Show. This is Wyatt Fulton stepping in a little bit to help shuffle some things around. No big deal. We'll get you guys back here in just one moment right here on the Gary Harris Show.
Coming up on The Game with Ryan Fowler.
Hey, coming up on the Monday edition of The Game, we're going to recap Alabama's final scrimmage. We'll provide you the latest from Kayla DeBoer. We'll get you ready for another busy week on the campus of the University of Alabama. We'll do it with Barrett Salee. We'll do it with Drew Yarman, Martin Houston, all starting at 2 p.m. here on The Game on Tide 100.9, 1230. WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
The longest running sports program in Tuscaloosa. The Game with Ryan Fowler. Weekdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
If you haven't already, you've got to try Tuscaloosa's unique breakfast, brunch, and lunch concept. Brick and Spoon, downtown Tuscaloosa at Timerson Square. It's fresh food with a Cajun flair featuring a full bar with build-your-own Bloody Marys and mimosas. Open daily, 7 a.m. until 2 p.m. Available for after.
And also offer custom screen printing. Let Eyecatchers print shirts for your next event. 345-7762. Eyecatcher Screen Printing and Gifts, where getting seen becomes an art.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The weather not as humid today. The sky mostly sunny, the high 89. Clear and pleasant tonight, the low 66. Tomorrow and Wednesday, sunny both days, highs between 87 and 90. And Thursday, we stay dry, the sky sunny, the high 89. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3320 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
For more from Tide 100.9,
let it fly! And there's it!
Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and SoundCloud.
All right, 10:53, winding it down here on the Gary Harris Show. And we still have time to get a phone call in, though, if you want to give us a ring on the Pinnacle Park at North River Hotline. 205-342-9904 is the number. 205-342-9904 is the number if you want to give us a call. I do want to correct one thing from our golf segment, just because Casey just looked at it wrong, and Noah Kemp lost in that final to Jose Luis Ballester in the final yesterday. So it was Jose Luis Ballester that won the U.S. Amateur, beating Kemp yesterday, and that was just one of those little Casey just looked at it wrong. So I want to make sure we get that corrected, though, as far as the U.S. Amateur Championship is concerned. All right, big week ahead for Alabama football. Like I said, I'll be back in town today, so I'll be back in studio tomorrow. and we're going to be hitting it hard. I'm going to get back to having some of my high school previews, have some more high school coaches on this week as we get the season started on Thursday night. And then on Friday night, the first week 0, big schedule. I'll have my first Football Friday show on WVUA 23 from 10:30 to 11:30 p.m. on Friday night. And, of course, we'll be having high school coverage here on Tide for you as well. But the season is here, so we're going to be getting geared up for it. I'll also very soon, I don't know if it'll be this week, but I'll be getting D'Orlando Ledbetter back on for the Falcons report, and also Kayla Anderson on for the Titans report. And I don't know, I may even add a Jacksonville Jaguars or a Saints report this year. I don't know, because those are teams that have some regional interest as well, or maybe even a Carolina Panthers report, since we got Bryce up there in Charlotte. So, but we'll start cranking up our NFL coverage here soon as well, because the NFL season is going to start a week after the college football season. So big week. Football is here. We're going to have it covered for you. All right, that's going to wrap it up for the show today, and appreciate Chase running things back there in Tuscaloosa. As I said, I've enjoyed myself down here the last 3 days in Orange Beach, but looking forward to getting back to Tuscaloosa. I will say this before I close out the show. Ran into so many people down here that wanted to talk Alabama football over the weekend. I mean, it was crazy. So that's been a lot of fun. All right, we've got T-Town Sports Daily coming up next at 11 a.m. Miller's Edge from noon until 2. And then Ryan Fowler, who also vacationed last week in Orange Beach, is back in studio today with the game from 2 until 6. Have a great day, everybody, and I will talk to you again tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. on the Gary Harris Show.
Thank you for listening to the